Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. We good to go. We good to go. What's going on, y'all? Let me fix this camera. All right. Getting started. So we're on episode 4, man. 2023 is a crazy year for football. We're gonna be bringing on our guest soon. Talked about it. Mike Rudewicz is joining the show. Uh, Chris Ramsey, he's a little busy tonight, so he said he's gonna pop in if he can. So we'll try to get him going. Um, Listen, this is what we're talking about tonight. We're gonna go through a couple things. We're gonna talk about what's the real problem in minor league football, which we kind of discussed a few times, but we're really gonna talk about one of the first steps that we've kind of collectively all talked about being possibly a solution, um, and kind of trying to figure out, how to kind of put the pieces together to get that rolling. Um, The other thing is going to be, talking about the leagues and the teams, and a conversation that's been going on lately is comparing the different leagues to each other, and having those different leagues comparisons, how teams kind of stack up against each other based on that. And then we'll have a little conversation about, a situation that's been happening a lot recently where teams kind of do this one and done motto where, it's all about winning a championship, and then once they win that championship, you kind of don't see them again. They fold or they change names or they change colors or something. So we're gonna get into those things. So quickly gonna try to bring in Mike here. Mike is still on the road, y'all. So until he gets home, he might not have too much to say. But Mike Rudewicz plays in the ECFL right now. I think he's signed to the Mustangs. He's also a Connecticut Falcon. It's a good friend of mine. I played with him on the Vipers. Now on the Falcons as well. He played for the Connecticut, or I believe it's called the Stanford Giants. It might have been the Connecticut Giants. Um, Really, really good football team. We're talking about like above the Seminoles level of minor league football. We're talking about like really at that top echelon. Those guys were trying to play the best competition. They had a lot of pro players, whether they were playing arena, uh, ex NFL. Some of these guys went to Canada, came back. Just a lot of talent. He also got his crack at the NFL. He'll be modest about it and tell you, I was only there for a little while, but shit, if you made it, you made it. That's how we put it. If you made it, you made it. So let's bring Mike on now. Hey, big dog.
What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? I appreciate you coming on to the show tonight.
No, of course.
Um, we're gonna try to get him. We're gonna try to get him on, every week. Same thing with Ramsey. See if we can get some good conversations going. So if you want to just introduce yourself a little bit to the crowd out there.
Yeah, no. Mike Rudewicz. I play with the Falcons now. I'm going to be playing with the Mustangs in the future summer league. Um, I've had extensive background in football. I've played for the Connecticut Giants. Then with that, I got a chance to play arena football for a little while, and that gave me an opportunity to try out in the NFL. To which then my career kind of ended after that professionally due to injuries. As you know, I suffered a lot last year with the Vipers. Um, so, just now I'm feeling good, but I'm also, an old vet at this point in time. So I'm just doing it for the love of the game now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, like I said, Mike will keep it, he'll keep it timid, but he's a hell of a football player. So his opinion is definitely valid, and I value it. So that's why I wanted to bring him on. Again, we all know who Christian Ramsey is, but for those who don't, might be seeing the show for the first time, um, Ramsey didn't really get a chance to play too much football in college, but ever since he stepped onto the semi-pro scene, he's been a dominant dude. Like I'm a true fan of him. Plays running back, plays receiver, plays corner, plays whatever the hell you need him to play. Really cool guy. So that's the third piece. Hopefully he gets the duck in here. So let's get the show started though. Listen, we're
Okay.
gonna go to the next segment, man. Next segment, chop it up. You know what I'm saying? We just gonna have a quick conversation about the first solution to the problem that, you know, we have right now. So we were kind of chatting about it last week, and we were talking about the problem in semi-pro right now is that semi-pro minor league football might not be around for much longer. Um, and there's a couple reasons to it. There's not a lot of money, and you need money to run a team. You got guys doing stupid things on the field, stupid things in the parking lot. Um, a ref got punched earlier in the year. Another game ended because a guy was talking about guns. This happened again recently where another game was ended. Um, and the refs are starting to kind of fight back and they're basically walking off the field. Games aren't ending. Refs don't even want to come to some of the games. So we're in a real dire situation where we might lose the sport at the level that we're playing at it. And we've been chopping it up a lot lately, and we've just been talking amongst players, you know, amongst coaches, owners, just what could possibly fix the problem. And one of the things that has been talked about for about a year now is the creation of a players association. So the first thing when you think about a players association is just like, why do we need this? You know what I'm saying? So I got my thoughts, but Mike, what do you think about that? Why do you think we need a players association?
Um, I mean, I think it would benefit a lot of people. As far as we know, last year, I mean, I played. Me and you played with the Vipers last year. I was an owner for the Vipers last year. Um, I think it would benefit. It could do one of two things. It could benefit and it could hurt. Only on two aspects. I'll go over both. Like the benefit would be that when certain commissioners want to, kind of lay down the law, that it's going to be reviewed by other parties and not be at the hands of one or two people that are going to make that decision. And I think more eyes need to be shown on certain things like the fights, situations like that. Like I know there's a fight almost every season in semi-pro football in any league. There's at least a fight a week, and that's been going on for years. That's not. I mean, even when I was with the Connecticut Giants, we had that as well. It was more regulated then because a lot of guys in the time frame that I was playing were all trying to get to another level. I think now this year, in the years that we're playing now, I think it would benefit a lot of the players due to the fact that even with the dues, you have sometimes an owner will say, "Hey, don't worry about paying dues," or I'll give you a concept here, a payment plan, and then either the player sometimes doesn't go with the payment plan, or sometimes that player does pay and that owner forgets. We've had that happen.
Right.
So I think it would benefit on that. The reason why I think it would go against it is I don't think a lot of these commissioners in these leagues are going to want that because they don't want a players union. They don't want any of us semi-pro players being more professional than them as far as that goes. You're not going to want a bunch of guys who they know are going to potentially be the reasons why they can hand down the law and now be the law.
Right. Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, a players association is in all purposes a union. You know what I'm saying? And any company is not going to want their employees to unionize against them because it takes power and control away. So, my whole idea is, when I say why do we need this, to me, it's just, as a whole, we need the system to have some standardization. That's for one thing. We got a bunch of national champs every year. It's whoever plays at this game or this bowl game and they win, they're allowed to say national champ. But who is the true national champion that year? Who is really the best team is kind of a tough thing. The other thing is, we talk about getting funding and doing some of these really cool things that maybe the NFL does or the USFL does, like, selling jerseys and, getting fans to come out and doing all these really creative things. But it's hard to do that without a system to work from. When you have just individual teams doing it, some of them are successful and the rest of them aren't. And for me, the last thing is like, I told you, my goal is for the teams to get better and to be better organized and better managed, for the players to get paid for their efforts. And this is one of the best ways to do so. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever organization feels like they're not being compensated, they unionize together. You know what I'm saying? They say, hey, we need healthcare, we need benefits, we need income. I need time to go home and take care of my kids. So in order for us to kind of say, hey, you know, we need this in order to be better players, we have to come together and work as one. So moving on kind of to the next angle here is like, how would a players association benefit the whole system? And that kind of is kind of like, in a way, it's like an answer to a lot of these leagues saying, hey, I really don't like the idea of you guys, taking the power out of my hands. So what's the benefit, like the main benefit to the leagues from their standpoint?
I
And
mean,
good.
for a, sorry to cut you off. For the league standpoint, I think the benefit of it would be you're going to get more serious players in. You're not going to get guys who want to take a jersey and take pictures and get one or two plays on the field.
Yeah, we got
You're
a
gonna,
lot of that.
because think about it, with the players union, you're going to have to pay dues on top of whatever else, for your team, and then the players association itself, you're going to have to pay dues. So the guys that are going to do that are going to be the guys that want to try to move forward. Minor league, or I'm sorry, not minor league, indoor football, all the other avenues that you can get that are higher than minor and semi-pro football. And I personally would look at it as if I was a commissioner. Players League does take a little bit of power out of the hands of the commissioners, but only if they let it. Like if you let it happen that way, it's the same thing as the NFL. You could do the same model. There's a players association, there's a main commissioner, there's the whole system that they have in place that works because they've been around for years. You can model that, and money will be made on all ways. But I think the semi-pro world and the minor league world, it's going to benefit because you're going to take away the problems that we've been having for 20 plus years of the fighting, like you said, the gun talk. I mean, it might not take that completely away for a little while, but trust me, when these guys are in a players association, they start talking certain ways or they get into a fight and now they have a legitimate fine, they're either not going to want to play in that, you're going to get rid of that person, or they're not going to want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can separate the cream from the crop with a players association. Like, a guy gets into a fight, he gets a suspension. That suspension is not now enforced through the league. That suspension is enforced through the players association. So as long as all the leagues are cooperating, effectively, that means that a player that gets suspended from one league is suspended from all of them. He can't just pick up and go to another team and create that same chaos and that same problem somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? So that is a huge benefit, having that kind of control, kind of that aspect of control taken out of the league's hands. Now they don't have to worry so much about, you know, enforcing these problems. Now the other side for me is when you talk about, high profile guys, you know what I'm saying? You talk about these big name dudes that really get out on the field and really make a name for themselves and they bring hype with them. You think of the NCAA with the NIL contracts right now. That's kind of the similar situation that we have with minor league football. However, there's no way to really market guys right now. And the leagues don't really have the time to market their league and their teams and also individual players. And I think that's where the Players Association steps in. So now, if you can build fan bases around players, you know, those players will bring their fan bases to their teams. Those teams will then increase their fan base. And that's like the whole system of the NFL right now. That's why, there's a lot of guys who can play football in the NFL. There's not a lot of guys who make it on an NFL roster. Some of the guys that make it never belong there in the first place. However, they played at a huge school. They had a huge following. They sell tickets whether they're good at football or not.
Yeah.
Um, that's just capitalism at its finest. So, in my opinion, that's just one of the biggest ways that it'll benefit the whole system. Now, I will say this, how exactly does a players association give control to the player? And I will say that the control is given to the player in the sense that now that I'm putting my name down and I'm a part of a union effectively, right? I have not only protection behind me, but I also have a system that I could rely on. You know what I'm saying? So if I feel like I was treated unfairly by a team and I want to go, I can't be held to a contract until, God knows when, because I felt like I was treated unfairly, and that's why I didn't want to be there anymore. Because we have those situations right now where some of these teams, they might be on the brink of folding, and a guy wants to take off, but he can't. He can't take off because that contract is signed, and right now there is no representation. Once that contract is signed, it's signed. So now that guy now has to go play in a different league. That's just one way that I think that players can get control. Another way too is, if the players come together, they can kind of force the hand of league. So if they say, "Hey, we want the league to support us in getting fields. We want to play at better fields," and right now, you know, the University of Connecticut is saying they don't want, minor league football on Reichler Field. We can go to the league and we can say, "Hey, we need your support on this." You know what I'm saying? And as a union, we can kind of force their hand. Um, I don't know. What ideas do you think of how a association can kind of give control to the players? What do you think can come from it?
No, I agree with you on what you said. I think that's fair. I mean, the field thing might be a harder thing to do only because of the time frame that we
Yeah,
play football with the high schools and all that stuff. But there are teams out there that play on dirt fields. As you know, last year we practiced mostly on a dirt field, and we had multiple guys get hurt, tore ACLs, and all that stuff.
yeah,
And I'm not. That's not me shit talking the Vipers at all. That was just what we had at the time frame. But we played at Southington High, which was a great field.
yep,
It was a little outdated, but you know, better than certain other places that could be played. Um, so I agree with you on that. I think the other thing too that can help out with them as well is honestly a lot of these situations that happen in season. Like when you do have these fights, like I don't think guys understand that, you have in certain leagues, you have what, two, three, four commissioners who are going to sit there and review a tape and make their own account of what happened and make a decision based on how they feel. If these commissioners don't like you as a person, what do you think is going to happen?
yeah, out of there. No questions asked.
You know what I mean? So like if you're a guy who's a great football player, but you at one point in time frame that you played semi-pro pissed off one of these dudes, you get an altercation, they're like, yeah, no, cut him or suspend him or he's done for the year. The Players Association is going to tell you, hey, listen, we're going to review it as well, and we're going to come to an agreement.
Right.
So you're going to have that ability to, like you said, have representation. I think that's the biggest thing as a player association could be. The problem is going to be, are these semi-pro football players going to want that? Are these minor league guys going to want that? And that's where that whole hardest part comes into. I don't think a lot of guys are going to understand what it could do. Because here's the thing, I think you'll agree with me. A players association could legitimately take the semi part out of semi-pro football out.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
can legitimize our leagues. It can
Yeah.
legitimize all of it. And that can help out all these guys who want to make it professionally. Yeah, all right, it's not the XFL or the UCFL or the NFL, but it's something that you can put down that you played professional football for the rest of your life.
Right.
And a players
I mean,
association can do that.
I mean, so it's great to have you on. We only got a few more minutes on this topic, but I'm gonna touch on it. We're definitely gonna come back to this topic in the
Yeah.
future. But if we do stuff like we have um, minor league showcases, if we do things like combines, the Players Association would be responsible effectively for, managing that information, right? So if there's a Players Association website, you can go and find that player. You can find his stats. You can find the teams he played for. You can find his 40 time, his bench press, all of that. You know what I'm saying? And they could confirm those things. They could have you do it right in front of them, and it could be confirmed. Now, when a team wants to see you, you know what I'm saying? It's easy. Like, hey, I'm interested in playing for your team. This is where you can find everything out about me. It's all right here for you. And at the same time, you can talk to the officials of the Players Association. They can tell you how competitive the league I played in is, what the other players that I'm going up against are, what their history and background is. All of that stuff is trackable now. And I think that's a huge benefit. We're just gonna wrap up this topic with one last thing, and that's what would this cost to the players and who can really make it a reality? And I'll take the lead on this. I think it can cost as little as $1 per player, or it can cost as much as $50 per player. It's all about, the agreement of how involved the Players Association really becomes and what the Players Associations are doing and how broad this really is going to be. Because if we're talking about starting small and starting with a particular league or region, a smaller region, and keeping it local, yeah, it's not going to take much to get it going. But if we're talking about doing an entire, you know, region, like an entire Northeast or like the entire Atlantic coast, what I'm saying? Now it can get pretty big and it might be a huge thing. The other thing is participation. So the cost could be small or it could be, substantial, but not major. And I say substantial because $50 on your $300 team fee is a lot. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're playing in multiple leagues. But a dollar could be nothing, and that's a reality as well. Who could make it a reality? You know, it's the people would have to come together, and we would have to all talk about it and kind of vote because the people who normally run these like players associations, player unions are players themselves or ex-players, guys who people believe in, guys who have a history, and people who are really good at just representing their sport. And we would just need a couple guys. I mean, coming off the top of my head, I could think of guys like Dave Legree, who has a huge following. A lot of people love him. He's a Hall of Fame type of guy. Guys like that could step up and kind of say, "Hey, I'm gonna take the lead on this," but how much time and how much commitment are they gonna give? And that's kind of the big thing. So, what do you think about that? The cost to the players, and then who could really make it a reality?
No, I think you're right. I don't think it has to take a lot. You got to remember too, a lot of these teams have 60-man rosters or 65-man rosters. Dollar at 65 a player, or 65 a team. Which, depending on what league you're in, you might have like the ECFL has how many teams?
34 teams, I think, or 32.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do the math on that right now, but that's a substantial amount of money.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's like $1,800, $2,000 almost.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's like that. A league like that, that's a good chunk of money that can help out. That can do
Right.
a lot. You know. So I agree with you. Like, a dollar. It doesn't have to be a lot. It could be a dollar. It could be even five if that's the case. I mean, listen. Let's be really honest. Like these guys that play football, everyone I know, being an owner, this is not me shitting on anybody from last year, but everybody that I knew that was like, "Hey man, I don't got the money this week," would tell me they had no money, but they sure hell had a lot of weed on them. So, like they had money for that, and it's like you could
True.
you could give out, you know what I mean? Like you could give out a dollar, you could give out $5. Like if it's gonna benefit you to furthermore your football career, why not? Like why not do
Yeah,
that?
true. I mean, Justin Willow Wilson, my boy, love you, Willow. He brought up a good idea. You know what I'm saying? Taking some of the money from the dues in order to cover the cost, and having a team representative like a GM, maybe a head coach, having them kind of be one piece of the players association. Ultimately though, I think you need a player, either a player or a former player to be a part of the association. We kind of want to remove the teams and the leagues aspect from the players association because at the end of the day, nobody's going to protect you like the guy that plays with you, plays against you. You know what I'm saying? But listen, we definitely got to talk more about this, but our time is up on that. We're going to move over to the next topic here. The next topic is comparing leagues and teams. This is a conversation that comes up a lot. Um, you know, 3A versus 2A versus 1A, single A, double A, triple A, all the A's that you could think of. Um, here's my take on it. It's really freaking hard. It is really hard because there's no consistency. Um, a lot of people would like to say that in some of these higher levels. So you have like in the ECFL, you got the AAA level, but then you got teams that are in these divisions at the bottom that wouldn't even do well in double A. You know, they would probably kill single A, but would be 500 at double A. So all AAA teams are not created equal. Just like some of these teams are just misclassified. If you look at a post that the Sunshine Bowl put out recently, they said, one of the things that we take into consideration is how a league defines their teams, and what's best for the league. right? Because a league might have 5 AAA teams in it, but those 5 AAA teams can't compete on a national level, so they consider themselves double A, even though those teams are actually really good on a double A level. Um, I don't know. It's hard. So what do you think about that?
All right, so I can kind of shine some light on this due to the fact that I was an owner last year. Well, even this year, until I removed myself. So we all know Triple A is a different beast. You know, they're the teams that are the most well run to a degree, at least the top tier guys. You know, they're run professionally. They have the ownership's professional, the coaching staff's all put together. You know, you have all that. Double A and single A, Double A and single A, especially this year, there's just too many single A teams right now. If we're talking about, there's just too many. Like there's, like we can.
We're gonna get to that, Mike. We're gonna get to that.
All right, all right. So it is. So to answer your question, it's hard because there's just so much, and like you said, like, all right, I'm gonna ask you a question. I don't know the answer to this. This might be a little off topic, but so you know how there's a CT Carnage?
Yeah,
Did they change their name to the Sun Devils?
they did.
Okay, that just threw me off because I went on the website. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, so like that was literally in a 2 week span.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, and that's like I said, that's no shot to that organization, but it's like that threw me off on my own Facebook. Like, who the hell are these people? That's another team. Like,
Yeah,
so
shout out to the guy. He's doing his best.
no,
So
but like for me, it was just like I was confused because I thought that was two different teams. I went on the website and I saw Carnage in the back and then the Sun Devil in the front, and I was like, I'm
I
so
think
confused.
that was the point. I think the point was to start over again. Um,
And
so
that is fine. I actually like
uh,
Sun Devil way more than Carnage. Just
I
to make
do
that.
too. I do
Um,
too.
but like, that threw me for a little bit. That's off topic of what we're talking about. But like, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I think at some point you're gonna have to combine certain levels and the long list of
Yeah,
teams that are. I
yeah.
don't. Is that kind of where you wanted to lead that question to?
Nah, yeah, it is. And I kind of got lost in thought for a second. So like, is it even fair to I mean, okay, I get it. From a league standpoint and from a competitive standpoint, it's like Goliath versus, the little peasant boy. You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
you got some of these organizations like the Marlboro Shamrocks, you know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I'm going to share my screen real quick because I found something earlier today that was really crazy. Um, this right here. So this is the USFA National Champions list, and this is going back to 1993. Marlboro Shamrocks. They played against a Wisconsin team, beat them, national champs. 94, they played against an Ohio team, beat them. Took a couple years to get themselves back together. In 97, they won again. In 98, they won again. In 99, they won again. In 2000, they won again. In '02, they won again. It keeps going. Um, when you talk about taking a team like Marlboro, right, and you put them up against a team like ours last year, the Southern Vipers, a first year team with some good talent, but a lot of guys who might not even have played football at the college level. You're talking about, the,
That's a
the
huge.
little peasant boy David going up against the Goliath. You know what I'm saying? A totally different organization. So I get how the 3A, 2A system, even the single A system comes into play and how it works. But when you talk about comparing teams to each other that are in these systems, I think it starts to get unfair because you do have some teams that are playing in a double A system that really would rock it. And I think the Bulls last year. The Bulls was a triple A team in the ECFL.
Yep.
But they were playing in double A and they rocked the double A because of that. If they would have went up against the Shamrocks, if they would have went up against the Admirals, they would have had a tougher time. I'm not saying that they would have lost because you never really know it's any given Sunday, but It's hard to kind of judge them as a 2A team and say, oh, nah, they would have been terrible in AAA because that's not true. And most people could tell from the eye test. I think it gets more complicated when you have these middle of the pack teams and AAA, some of these teams that can't get a win. However, if you were to put them in AA, they would dominate because they're just in a AAA system that is so competitive. Um, I think the answer to that is statistics. I think the more stats you have, um, the easier it is for you to understand what's actually happening on the field because you got to have a team blow a team out. And I think of our game with the Falcons recently against the Norsemen, where the score was like 30 something zero by halftime, but the offense had only seen the field 3 times for
Yeah, I didn't.
probably a total of like 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think we had 100 yards of offense and the score was 30 something zero.
No,
Um,
I
that's
didn't see.
just, yeah, that's
One.
just a situation I think of where the stats would have told you a better story. So at the end of the game, you see a bunch of points, but you see the offense had less than 250 total yards, and you go, oh, wow, that defense was really good. Or that other offense was really terrible. Yeah, it was Madden numbers, bro. It was bad. But yeah, what do you think about that? How do you think about stats being the answer to this?
Um, it could be, but it's got to be the right stats. I mean, I hate to say it, but let's be real. A lot of guys blemish their shit.
That's true.
I
That's true.
mean, if we were going to do it that way, especially for the ECFL, Jim and the other commissioners would have to get a statistician that would actually they have to actually probably pay and actually put down legitimate stats to these games.
Right.
Now, I mean, he probably could do it this year because he's got Huddle. He mandated Huddle, so now there should be no reason why statistics can't be a thing that are precise.
Right.
I agree with you on that, but I also feel too that especially in the world of Connecticut, Mass, and the Vermont, New Hampshire, it's a small net community. Even New York, New York, not that New York's small, but like everybody knows everybody. Like I'm brand new to this league, like 3 years now I've been on it, and people now are starting to figure out who I am.
Right.
Aggravates me, but it's okay. I'm okay with it. But um, like so if you all of a sudden see a bunch of people on one team and they're a single A team, and you're like, dude, that's not. We know all these guys.
Right.
Like that. A case in point. All right, I'll give you case in point. The beginning of the year for the Vipers, before the whole situation happened, and I know the Vipers are in the news today and all that stuff. So this is not me trying to bring the Vipers, digging them out on your show, but before I left, we were a double A team to where other people wanted to go single A. And my thoughts were, if we go single A, like we're going to look bad because everyone knew we were not a single A team.
Right.
Now, with that being said, you look at the Flyers. I don't know how the Flyers are a single A team right now because we played them last year. We had a really good game against them. And from what I know, and I might be wrong, so if anyone wants to come at me, don't, because I'm not 100% sure, they kept pretty much the same people. And, maybe with I don't know if the quarterback's playing this year or not, but like,
I think he is
all right. So they have pretty much the same people. So like,
pretty much.
what business do you guys have in single A? Like you're gonna roll over that, and like, I mean, I can't speak because I'm no longer an owner. I'm just a player, and I don't. So it's like you look at something like that, and it's like we all know the Flyers are not a single A team.
Well, some teams are 2A because they don't want that smoke. They ducking. And some teams are 1A for even worse ducking offenses. They are. They ducking terribly. And I
You think?
think the Flyers is one of them. Listen, when they were in AA 2 years ago, they were not half the team that they are today. They were so much better last year than they were the year prior, and the year prior they were a AA team. Now, granted, they went winless. They lost to my team, a single A Tar Heels team, which honestly was a single A team. Started out the year with 17 guys, ended up with 30 guys, dropped back down to like 26 guys. Had a bunch of good games, but whatever, whatever. But we beat them. But those guys were in the same division as the Rebels, the Bulls, the Blackhawks, which were all double A teams. So I don't really understand how they dropped down to single A with a better team. And then they stayed in single A, especially after the success that they had last year. I get it. They didn't beat the Hitmen, so they didn't get the championship. But like the Rebels didn't beat the Bulls last year, and they didn't get the championship, but they still went Triple A. So honestly, you should be playing at your level. But what
I
do you
mean,
think about that? Do you think teams are duck and smoke, or do you
um,
think that teams are just doing what's best for them? Because that's really the conversation at hand. Like,
all right, all right. So you
should
want my
I not duck smoke? Like, is that not what I'm
I,
supposed to do as a team owner?
so here's the thing. I personally don't think a lot of teams are ducking. I really don't. Because you look at like the situation with the Bulls. Like Lester and Wade had to do the best for their team. Like they presented themselves, and I was more on their side with that situation as far as like, all right, I can understand what they're saying. They're losing a lot of guys to whatever it was, whether it was some kids were going to college, some guys went to another team, some guys retired. Like I understood that. Um, because even when I was on the Vipers and we were going to go to single A, I don't think that was the ownership ducking either. I think it was more just um it was more a travel based thing. It was more like if you go double A, we're traveling to Mass a lot.
Right.
And you know how a lot of guys are in semi pro as far as travel goes.
Tough.
So
We
aren't gonna
talked about this on the show last season. It's tough.
and listen, I'm not shitting on anybody. And Jim, I know you wrote twice the Flyers weren't double A. I apologize if I said that. Um, so I don't know if teams are actually ducking or if they are just doing the best to what they can do because of what they think they're going to have. I do think there's a little bit of ducking and they can kind of sugar it with, hey, we're losing players. I think certain teams aren't ducking and certain teams are. I'm not going to call those teams out because I honestly don't know which ones went where as far as last year to years prior. So I can't really speak on that. But like I do think there are certain teams that probably had a chance to go up, decided not to because they knew that their record would be worse and didn't want that. Or they probably thought if we go up, we're going to lose guys. Or like with the Vipers, they went down, they lost guys. A lot of guys were upset, and I was one of them.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, you got to be in the rooms to really know who's ducking and who's doing the best for their team.
Yeah, it's tough, man. That's a tough situation. It's a tough conversation. Listen, I'll be candid, with everybody. The Falcons are having a tough year with the IFA situation. The IFA is an independent league, so teams can come and go as they please. It was developed that way. And this year we had a bunch of teams leave and it kind of hurt the outlook of the league. And we were struggling to kind of fill our schedule and find games. And the owner, me and him were talking. And I was like, listen, we shouldn't be playing teams that could harm us right now because we're at the top. Like, we should take really smart games and play some competitive games. But listen, if it's the choice between playing a game where you could lose a couple guys and you could lose the game, or you could play a team where there's a good chance you'll win, but yeah, they'll compete with you. We should take the game where we probably could win because we're on a national championship run right now. I'm not necessarily going to say that I'm ducking comp because I'm never ducking comp, but I'm being smart and thinking about that system of just being smart. I think back to last year with LB, the owner of the Thundercats. He basically was like, "Yeah, we won a championship, but we're not going to double it. We're going back to single A." And he made a bunch of excuses about losing players and things like that. His team got significantly better after winning a championship, and they stayed at the same level. They did not win the championship the following year. So in a way, he was vindicated. But at the same time, we all said he was ducking smoke. He didn't want to play at the next level. And the truth was, I don't think his team was ready to play at the next level. And at the end of the day, looking back on it, he did what was best for his program. But at the time, it really felt like he was scared to play higher competition. So it's an interesting conversation to talk about. My thing is, did the IFA and TFL prove something? Because this year they decided that since they had teams fold on both sides and the schedules got kind of messed up, they would help each other out. and they would have these crossover games every single week, and it helped them a lot keep their leagues running. But it also kind of answered a huge debate that came up last year because the IFA got the Cardinals, the East Coast Cardinals. They got the Seacoast Warhawks, who really revamped their program, was really good. And then you had the Falcons kind of turn it up a notch last year. So they have three really good teams. The TFL always has three good teams. But last year, the Bangers, the Mount Vernon Bangers, had a lot of Brooklyn Seminoles on their teams. The Eagles are always going to be the Eagles. And then you had the Ducks and the Green Wave, and they were all just competing. And it was like, all right, which league is better? You know what I'm saying? Because the Falcons were in the TFL and they really didn't do that good. But these Warhawks and these Cardinals are really freaking good. And this year, you got to see them go head to head. The TFL so far is undisputed. They've taken, I think it's 3-1 right now, and there's only 2 games left. So even if they were to win out somehow, probably wouldn't take that. But did the TFL and the IFA prove that there is a way to have head-to-head competition with the local leagues around you, in a structured way where you can prove which league is better than which? That's a question.
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm new to all that. I'm just reading the comments real quick.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep up because I see it flashing. I mean, I think you need leagues like those 2 leagues to do crossover games, but other leagues have to allow that in. Now, I'm new to this, so if anyone comes at me in the comments, understand that I'm new to both these leagues. So I'm not trying to overstep or say things that I don't know. I know as far as being a Falcon this year, our season has been fun, but also with what's been happening, kind of annoying, And I never got a chance to play with anybody on the other years, so I don't really know how those other teams were.
Right.
Teams I could speak on are the Warhawks, because we played them beginning of the year, and that was a fun game. I mean, that's probably one of the funnest games I've ever played in.
Yeah, it was fun. It's competitive as all hell.
Yeah, they almost got me in the beginning drive, but but
Mike looked at me and said, I can't breathe, fake an injury.
that was cardio in the off season. But no, I think you need leagues. I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Notre Dame, where they can play whoever they want, and people have to want to play them though. That's the one thing. They have to want to play those teams, and those teams have to stay. If you're going to be an independent league, you have to stay loaded because no one's going to play a cupcake team.
Right.
If you're the Shamrocks, you're not going to want to play a team that you're going to blow out 62-0.
True.
So
we got to close this up quickly, but I'm gonna bring this up real quick to look at this. So we were talking about statistics. So put this together last night. Been trying to get this together for a minute now, and basically all it is just a bunch of different stats that kind of prove how strong a league in itself is. Definitely did some research to kind of try to figure out what was the best 4 stats. The last one was the hardest one. I think the size of the league does matter, how many teams, but so having these kind of statistics for your league kind of makes sense of, all the different conversations that happen because you got teams in the den that are really just head and shoulders above. You know what I'm saying? Like the unit, the nose, the herd, the owls are up there. And then you got some teams that are struggling, like Atlanta City Kings. You know what I'm saying? The NEAFL had a lot of these teams in their league last year, moved to the den. A lot of people just discounted that league and said, they're no good league anymore. They're kind of defunct, but that's not true. They're doing the same thing the TFL is doing with the IFA. They're playing the AFCA, which is a league mostly in the DMV area. Got some Delaware, Maryland, Virginia teams, and they're kind of substituting their schedule with those teams. But they got a really, really good team in there, and you can kind of just take the stats from each league and kind of get a base score out of it. There's a way to do that. But I think we need more stuff like this. And this kind of ties back to that whole players association conversation we was having because if you have the stats like this, the Players Association can have these stats, and then when players are looking for leagues to play in, what I'm saying, you're new to an area, you just moved to Connecticut, or a guy like yourself, you hadn't played in a while and you decided to come back. Like where should I play? Where do I want to play? You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
the Players Association says, hey, what kind of level of play do you have? Like what experience do you have? Did you play high school? Did you play in college? Did you make it to the pros at any point? And then they can point you in the right direction. They can say, hey, the Den and the ECFL is really good for you. Or they can say, yo, you probably should go to the NEAFL. Another thing, regions. What region do you live in? You know what I'm saying? What are the leagues in my area? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know that the NEFL exists. A lot of people don't know the ECFL exists. A lot of people don't know that our level of play exists, period.
That's true.
So, I mean, having stats, being able to put those stats out there, having the visuals to go with it, like that's something that we could take a lesson from the NFL. They do that. You could type in anything. You could type in, what's the best division in the NFL, and you'll find hundreds of graphics on the NFL. Which division has this amount of wins and this amount of championships and this amount of playoff games? And we need more stuff like that. So we're gonna move on to the last topic so we can stay on schedule.
All right.
The last topic is talking about some, and this is kind of just the craziest idea that I've heard over the last week or so, and it's the one and done team. So the whole concept behind this conversation is a team like the New Milford Fire came out of nowhere. Really motivated guys said, I want to have a team. I want to bring it to my hometown. Started something. It was great. Had a lot of big name players, and they went out and won a natty. Came back the next year and didn't quite get it done. And then you don't see them anymore. They don't exist now. There was some stuff that went into that, but you could think of the same thing with the whole Southernton Vipers conversation right now. They're in the news, right? Last year put together what was considered a super team for single A, a given AA team that was competitive right out the gate. Got pretty far, lost to the national champs, the eventual national champs in the semifinal of the playoffs. The team completely kind of fell apart. There was talks that it might fold. There's still talks it might fold. They're definitely coming back. But still, you're starting to find this to become a repetitive thing where you have these teams that are put together. They're supposed to be these super teams. You got lots of big names, huge investment in building a roster. I'm a part of a similar situation right now with the militia coming back. And then if they don't get the championship, they completely fold. They one and done. And that is a huge problem for football because you can't build up a team to be this great product that everybody buys into and everybody wants to be a part of. And I think of the New Jersey unit last year. They had, they had their own I forgot what they call it. It was like the sports directory or something. If you go on Facebook, you can find it. But basically, it was like a fan page just for the unit, and like they had all this stuff up, and they were, announcing player signings and coaching signings, and putting up jerseys and new helmets, and building this huge product. Now this year, they're not doing so great, and I really don't want to see them fold. But it's become a thing where like a team that's supposed to win a championship doesn't do it. All their players take off, and then the team folds because they can't do it anymore. What's your thoughts on that?
Truthfully,
Yeah.
there's too many fucking teams.
That's a fact.
Hey, like, dude, I joined semi-pro football again 3 years ago with the Northeast Bulls. Look how many teams there's been since 3 years ago. Connecticut alone has 87 teams.
Way too many teams.
You know what I mean? Like, I listen. I was born here. I'll more than likely die here. All that shit. But there's so many teams in Connecticut, and we're the smallest. We're like the third smallest state in the United States.
Facts.
We have I think we have the most semi-pro football teams ever. But I think that's the real reason for the one and dones is you have guys that, let's be real, we have a lot of friend groups. So me and you are playing on one team, and you're like, hey man, after this is over, I'm gonna go to this team because my other boy's coming over there, so we're gonna go there. And then you go over there and you're like, yo, come over here and like just play here. All right, cool, I'll go over there. So I think there's just And honestly, it's one and done because of that, and then it's also done because of how the ownerships are. You know, if a lot of players don't like the way that the owners are, or the coaching staff doesn't play them enough, a lot of dudes just got to drop their egos. Like, I do understand that these guys we all pay to play. I totally get it. And I'm probably going to get eaten alive on this comment section for this one, but a lot of guys that play semi-pro football, you have to look in the mirror and know, like, if you're not better than the guy ahead of you, just shut the fuck up.
Word.
You paid your due. You're at practice every day. If you can't beat the guy ahead of you, I'm not saying there's not a chance for you to try to get on the field. There's special teams for that. Like, you could go on that one as well. But like, and I get it. We ran through this last year on the Vipers, and we saw it across the field for any team that we played. You know, you always heard people being like, you know, we saw arguments on the other side of the field when we were with the Vipers. You know, we saw it this year with the Falcons on the other side of the field. Dudes were arguing on the other side. The Crusaders game.
Yeah.
They're about to throw down. You know, I don't know what the situation was, but you know, I'm sure it wasn't playtime. It was probably something totally different. But I think the one and dones the reason it happens is because ego gets in the way. Players want to get playing time, but they don't realize that they're not that great of players. And two, coaching. A lot of these coaches that are coaching semi-pro football are Madden players.
Madden coaches too.
Like, you know, listen, like, you can, hey man, I'm great that you took the fucking Arizona Cardinals to Super Bowl 3 years in a row in Madden, but that doesn't mean you could fucking, you know, coach all these fucking players with all these personalities. You know, it's just, that's what it is. So I think a lot of guys in semi-pro football just have to realize that, one, it's semi-pro football, and if you want to make it higher than semi-pro football, you have to act accordingly. You do never see anybody in the NFL or in college ranks going nuts because they didn't get playing time.
And if you do, you don't see them next week.
No, you don't. And that's why we have practices. So if you don't like your playing time, go to fucking practice and beat the dude that's the starter. And if you can't, humbly just shut the fuck up on the sidelines.
Yes, sir.
And if hey, listen, if your team goes up 62 points and you don't get playing time, then that's the coach's fault.
Right.
You know, like, that, not the player's fault. You know what I mean? Like, but as far as the one and dones, there's just too many teams. Like, stop letting all these fucking teams get in. Like for real. Like, Connecticut could merge into 3 teams and be powerhouses.
Yeah. True. Matter of fact, there's a lot of Connecticut players not playing in Connecticut, playing on non-Connecticut teams.
Yeah, 100%. But if all of a sudden you got rid of, you know, 30 teams, and you won't, like, when I played with the Connecticut Giants, there was maybe 8, and they were all in different leagues. Not everybody was in the same league. Right. You know, I think there was the Connecticut Chiefs out of Hartford. I want to say Hartford. There was us and we were in Stanford. Then we moved to Milford. And to be honest with you, that's all I know. Because then the Giants folded. And then we became the Bearcat. A lot of us went to the Bearcats, and then the Bearcats dissolved, and then it became the Militia. So a lot of guys went from the Giants, Bearcats to the Militia. So after that, my career was, I started going and playing arena and trying to make wave to go there. So I kind of got away from semi-pro, and then I became a family guy, and then got into strongman competitions, and then came back now. So
I'm glad you said that, because I think that's how you end up with these one and dones. You get a lot of these really talented football players who, they're football guys. So like, growing up, when you play Pop Warner, that's the team you play for. You represent that team, and then you go to school, whether it's middle school or high school, and that's your team because that's your school. And then you make sure you make a really strong decision, and you go to college and you try to stay at that school and earn your spot. So then when you get to the minor leagues, it's the same thing, right? You get on a team and you try to support that team, and you play for your team. And then when that team, you know, falls apart for whatever reason, you kind of just move on, right? And then you end up having your life, right? And then these teams try to come back, like right now, like the Militia trying to come back, and they're recruiting these older guys, and There's not a lot of like hype behind it. And some of these guys are just like, yo, I got a life. And you never really see them again. I think
Mhm.
we talked about it, right? That was like the theme of the show. Like, what is the solution? It just keeps bringing me back to some kind of like standardization, a union, some kind of association, a place where, you know, not only can the players be protected, but the teams in a way will get protected from things like this. You know what I'm saying? If there's, an excess of players that, want to find somewhere to play, the Players Association can kind of push guys in the right direction. Like, hey, this is a really good organization. You should be playing here if you can. You live 15 minutes away. Why are you driving 2 hours to go play for a team you're not going to play for? Because there's five guys ahead of you that are probably better than you when you can play right here next door. And guys are going to hit them with the, oh, but my friend, and but this and that. But now there's a system where people can kind of talk to people and it's open, and there's all kinds of different things that can happen, from support to get into games to support making decisions, and all of these different things that kind of really is, I think, is killing the sport at the bigger, more general level. When you look at the teams just falling apart, because now the team gets a bad rap and you really don't know why the team fell apart. It could
Right.
be as simple as, they didn't win and a bunch of guys retired and the roster shrunk so small. It could be a situation where guys didn't like a coach, you know what I'm saying? And probably the coach probably should have been fired, or the owner. There's a lot of different things, but how do you fix the one and done problem? Like you said, one, is just way too many teams. The market is oversaturated right now. If I don't like you, I could walk off your field and walk onto a practice facility within 48 hours and,
Mhm.
and be a part of a new team, because there's that many teams. And you know what? There's so many one double A and there's so many double A and single A teams that I could go to that team and be the greatest freaking player ever. Because now I'm not even playing against my competition level. But I'm so mad at this guy that I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Um, so
The
like
thing,
that's just a huge problem killing semi-pro right now. Is
and don't get me wrong, I do understand that. I understand that there's a place for a lot of guys for certain teams. Like you have a guy.
militia. Sorry.
Okay, well, you have a guy. And I'm not saying anyone in particular. I'm just saying, like, you have a guy who hasn't played football. He played high school football. He was only on junior varsity, but he loves football. And now he's got some free time. Like, screw it. I found out about this team in my own town, and I want to come play. And he gets there, and and he sucks. I think it's up to the owners and the coaches. And I'll be honest with you, this is where I respected Matt in a lot of ways for this one, for the Vipers, because he was honest with a lot of guys. Guys would go up to him and be like, "Hey, like, what do you think?" And he'd be like, "Dude, you need a lot of work." It's just to certain guys. And I'm not going to call anybody out in particular, but like we all know, everyone knows the guys on their team.
Yeah.
But I'm saying everyone has somebody on their team right now that they look at and go, "Why the fuck is he here?"
The Checos? Ooh, I didn't say
Yeah.
that.
but you know what I mean? Like everyone has that guy where they're like, okay, that dude was a paycheck for the owner.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think, and that's not every owner. There's a lot of owners that know, like, I don't want this player on my team. I want dogs. I want guys that have experience. I want guys that have a name. I don't need the I don't need the father, the new father looking for a hobby. Like, so you got to leave that up to the ownership and the coaching staff. And I think, and as players, all we just got to do is go play. As players, that's what our job is, to go and play. We go to practice when we have practice. And I know there's circumstances where I'm not going to get into that as far as practice goes, but you have practice when there's practice, and that's our job. Our job is to play the games, let the owners and the coaches do what they got to do.
Unfortunately, we don't got a lot more time. We got to end this. We got 30 seconds, but this is one place where I disagree with you, and this is all I'm gonna say. We'll revisit this definitely. Is in high school, in college, and in an environment where things are more put together. You're right. All the players have to do is just play. At this level, it's more than that.
I
At
mean, I
this level, we're all responsible for building this product up.
I see what you're saying. I get that. How much time do we have left?
3 seconds. All right, we're done. All right, listen. So that's the end of the show. That's all we really want to talk about. Now we just gonna go into a recap of basically what happened last week, the updated rankings, and we're gonna talk about our predictions for the following week. So appreciate everybody that joined the show up to this point, and we're gonna end it with this. We're gonna end it with the week 4 rankings. We're gonna take a look at these rankings that we put out recently. So big movements. The biggest movement to me was the Garden State Herd being number one. Moved the Nose over to replace the Eagles because the Nose did win, so they actually got on the field and played again. The Eagles dropped down. The only reason the Eagles dropped down is because the Nose actually played. They played a better level of competition than the Eagles did. They're playing in a better league. They are the Nose. They belong up there, but the Herd right now are the best team in the den, and that's simply because the Nose missed the game. Um, the Cobras are the real deal. It's confirmed. Like the people who know have confirmed that Cumberland County Cobras are the real deal. Cumberland County is in New Jersey, it's in like the southern New Jersey area. Um, so that was like a huge thing at the top to talk about. But then when you look kind of more to the middle of the top 10, like the Falcons right now, we suffering just because of the failure of the IFA. You know what I'm saying? Like, they dropped the ball. The IFA is looked upon as such a weak league right now. And even statistically, they're really just being held up by the Patriots and the Falcons. You know what I'm saying? Because there's only 3 teams. Um, but statistically, there's not a lot of stats there. It's a very small league now. It doesn't encompass a large area. Like all the things that make a league powerful, they failed us completely. So we're kind of stuck in fifth. And the only reason that we're even in fifth is because if you look, we've played more games than anybody else. There's only one other team that's played as much as us, and that's the Philadelphia Kings, who got beat the hell up by the Cobras. So they're kind of stuck there. The Hitman is the one that everybody's mad about. It is what it is. The top is a tough place to be. It's a tough place to live. And then the Green Wave Patriots and Ducks is crazy because the Green Wave plays the Ducks, they beat them. The Ducks plays the Patriots and beat them. It was very close games, all of them. They really could flip flop anyway. And then when you get past that, I mean, the honest truth is anything past the top 10 is really a conversation of the middle of the den. Like all those teams that have multiple losses in the den. And the truth is, they're all really good. They all could be. I mean, when you look at 11 all the way to like 18, they all could be in the top 10, honestly. Um, they're just kind of where they are. So let's get into the IFA TFL merger game, which is the Bengals. They got to go to the Crusaders. My prediction on that game is the Bengals beat the hell out of the Crusaders 38-6. Lots of talent on that team. The Crusaders have yet to win a game. I don't think the Bengals is the game that they're going to get through. What do you think, Mike?
I agree with you on that.
All right, cool.
I mean,
I got
these
predictions.
I don't know too much about, but the teams I do know, I'll let you know.
Definitely. Ramsey gave me his prediction, so I'll speak for him. He said the Bengals Crusaders 24-8 going to the Bengals. Yeah, I mean, I think the Bengals going to put up a little more points than that. They got a really talented team. It just depends on what team shows up because they got a lot of double duty players that are playing, in the den specifically, but playing all over the place. All right, so the next game is in the ECFL. So the ECFL sees the Bruins going to the Black Panthers, and there was some misinformation. I might have said this at one point in time, so we're going to clarify this. The Black Panthers, the New England Black Panthers, are not the CTP. They're not the Connecticut Panthers. They're not the merger of the Bulls and the Panthers. They're a totally separate organization. But they are 2-0 right now, and they're playing really good football. So the Bruins got off to a good start, got kind of beat up by the Cardinals last week. They got to kind of pull themselves back together. They're going to be motivated. I don't think they quite have what it takes to beat the Black Panthers. I'm saying 20-12 going to the Black Panthers. What about you, Mike?
I will go Black Panthers as well, but I think it'll be a little closer. I'll say 21-14.
21-14.
Well, it's semi-pro, so it'll probably be like what 20. Yeah, I'll just keep my regular score.
2014.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be like 12 to 20 probably, but I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with I'm going with what you said, but not really. I forgot that like we missed half our extra points and go for 2 all the time.
Right. So Ramsey agreed with me on that score. He thinks the Black Panthers will win as well, 20-12. So the Cardinals got to take on the Badgers. East Coast Cardinals, they got a squad. The Badgers, they were the they were the Boston Golden Badgers. Now they're the Metro West Golden Badgers. I think it's the same team, honestly. I'm saying 52-0. If the Cardinals take their foot off the gas pedal or they run the clock, 52-0.
All right. I'm going to go Cards as well, but I'm going to go 42-7.
42-7.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the Badgers are going to get like just one play.
I don't think they're going to even get one.
I'm saying one play. It'll be at the end of the game. But that's what I'm going to go with.
Ramsey agrees with you. Bleezy Rams said 48-6.
Okay.
Cardinals win. So he agrees that they might get one off.
I keep about these damn extra points.
All right. So Chargers take on the Smash. The Chargers were an IFA team to start the year. So was the Syracuse Smash. The Smash went out to play the New York Dolphins in the TFL, got into a fight, had some issues with their players. The Chargers just kind of with the whole change from the IFA to the ECFL. Not even sure what league they're in right now. Both leagues are kind of claiming them in a way. Yeah, just a debacle. They haven't played in a while. However, the Chargers are not a bad roster. They have a decent team. They work together. They've been building something there. I think to Smash, I know they got a lot of injuries and stuff. So I'm going to Chargers 18 to the Smash 8. I think the Chargers scored 3 touchdowns on the Smash, especially late in the game. They probably put up a couple more points. I think the Smash might get one off. They got a really talented quarterback, and that's just about it. I don't think they can hang out. What about you, Mike?
I'm gonna go with the Smash. I'm gonna go with the Smash just because I think that from everything that we've seen, well, one, they got a week off, right?
Right.
Is that the team that we're supposed to play?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's had 2 weeks now to like recoup players and get people back, and they're home. So I'm gonna say it's gonna be 12-6 because no one's gonna score any extra points.
Okay. I like that. 12-6. Ramsey said the Smash still has a team. Ha ha ha. So we didn't get a score.
All right,
so I'm guessing Ramsey's take is forfeit win for the Chargers. So 2-0.
Hey, listen, I'm just being different at this point.
Todd said it won't even reach the end. It'll be a fight. If it's in Syracuse, I don't think so because I think the Smash got one more time to fight at home, and they're like done as an organization completely. So hopefully we don't see that. The Chargers and Smash will. Okay, so we got a bet going on that there's going to be a fight. All right. So the game's actually in Boston. Thank you, Jim. So the game's in Boston. So if the Smash even show up,
Wait, hold on, not to cut you off. Wait, what? They're going to Boston?
Yeah, the Smash. Okay, I remember now. So the Smash got into so many issues and altercations in New York that they are no longer welcome to play anywhere in New York. So they have an all on the road schedule. On the road all the time.
Oh, okay. So they're
it's technically a Smash home game, but the home game's in Boston.
And these fuckers want to come down to us.
And they wouldn't come to us. I know. All right. So moving on, we got the Warhawks. They're going to the Norsemen. That's basically a home game for both teams. They in each other's backyards. I got the Warhawks beating the Norsemen 36-0. Here's why. They just played them a week ago and they beat them 20-zip. And their head coach said that they basically put the third string in in the end of the first quarter, and they beat them 20-zip. They took a lot of like trash talking for that. So I think this week they might leave the starters in for a little longer, and then leave the second string in for a little longer, and then let the third string wash them up. Honestly, though, I think the Norsemen are kind of just showing up and just playing ball at this point. I don't really think they expect to win anything. So yeah, 36-zip.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Warhawks because I'm not stupid. Or maybe with the smash pick I might be, but I'm gonna go Warhawks. But I think I'm gonna go 48-6.
Ooh, okay. You think
I
they score?
huh?
That's shocking. I don't think they can score.
No, I listen. I'm going off of the Warhawks just knowing they're gonna win and playing light, and maybe just a fluke catch or something, a fumble, recovery, something.
Okay, maybe.
Listen, I I feel the Norsemen because have they scored it all yet?
Nah, they scored when they had their team together when they were in the IFA. When they left the IFA and their team broke apart, they haven't scored.
Well, that was stupid. But all right. Um, no, I'm gonna don't let me down, Norseman. I'm going for you to get at least one touchdown.
That's the parlay. Norseman got to score at least more than 0.
That's it. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, I'll say 48-6.
All right. All right. Our game in the IFA. The IFA's only game because there's only 3 teams. um, basically, everybody's touting this as the championship preview because yeah, they're the only 2 teams with a
Yeah,
winning record in the league. So of
as it
course
is.
it's the championship preview. We probably should just call this the championship game. But I got it. Falcons Patriots 28-14. And here's why I got it 28-14. I personally was at the Patriots Wolfpack game. I got to see it up close. The Patriots have talent. Trust me, they have tons of talent. They're a really good team, but people are underestimating how good the Falcons really are this year. And getting to see it up close and personal, they really can't hang with us. And me saying 28-14 is me being generous. Um, but I know that they're gonna bring everything they got. However, they share a lot of players with a certain team who change their game to a certain day, and it's the same day that we play. I'm not gonna call out any teams, so they're gonna be missing a lot of players. So yeah, 28-14. Definitely gonna be a good game in the first half, though. What do you guys
All right, hold on. Tell what did Ramsey pick?
say? No, I want to save that. I want to save that for the end. All right, fine. I'll tell you.
I'll pick.
Ramsey.
I'll pick.
Okay,
All
go
right.
ahead.
Considering the fact, and Ramsey, you know I love you, but considering the fact that we haven't played a game and we're all pissed off, I'm gonna go 41 to I'll say they put 21.
Okay. All right. Ramsey said 23-24. So he said 24-23 Patriots win.
Of course he did.
Of course, it's his team. He got to represent.
Oh, yeah.
It's his team. Listen, I will say this. Ramsey got the ball on a swing pass, went up the sideline, and he hit a move on this dude that was so nasty.
Is that the one he posted?
Yo, and seeing it in real time, like he hit the dude with a move, and then he stopped and disappeared. Like he turned into a phantom. He just disappeared. And dude just fell on his face, like head into the ground. Boof. And then he hit another dude with another move. I was like, wow. So they come into play. They come into play. They can't wait. This is probably for me. I think this is gonna be like one of the best games of the weekend because there's just so much animosity behind it. It's like a hidden animosity. It's like I love you, but I hate you. But I
It,
love you, but I hate you.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm pissed off because it's on a fucking Sunday.
Me too.
So
At 3 o'clock too. Not even a night game. Like 3 o'clock.
you just ruined my damn weekend. Like, so now I'm even more mad.
Killing me. All right. Let's hurry up and get through this. We only got 3 more leagues to go, but here's where it gets real. All right. NEAFL. So this is that league. Oh damn, Ivan, don't say that. 2 p.m. 2 p.m. is the game. Oh my god. Anyway,
Easy.
NEF NEAFL is the league primarily out of Jersey, but they had some Philly teams and a Delaware team, and a lot of their better teams went into the den. So they're left with a Philly team, two Delaware teams, and two Jersey teams, I believe. So it's only 5 teams in the league. But this one might be harder for you, Mike. That's why I left the spring power rankings up so you can kind of take a peek. Uh, you got the ACFA Tigers, which is a team out of Maryland. They won. They're 1-0, and the game that they won, they beat the team 29-0. That was an in conference in league game. The ACFA is a fairly competitive league. That league is similar to like when we went down to Virginia and played the Rampage. It's
Okay.
similar to that league. So give you some perspective. So the Tigers played the Cumberland County Cobras, number 4 overall. I say the Cobras beat them 38-16. I think the Tigers probably have a decent offense. I haven't gotten to see any film on them. I don't really know much about that first win, but 29-0 means that the defense is pretty good and the offense is pretty good. They put up points, right?
Yep.
But the Cobras are just dominant. So I think they might score 2 touchdowns or some combination of points to get to 16. But the Cobras definitely put on a show. They don't score the 50 that they've been scoring. This team averages 49 points a game, by the way.
The Cobras?
The Cobras, yeah. And they only let up 7 points a game. I think it's like 6.9 or something. So really, really good football team. So I'm saying 38-16 to the Cobras.
All right. So I have no clue. So
I gave you as much context as I could.
no. All right. With that being said, I'm agree with you with the Cobras, but I'll say 41 to 18 or 16. Or what would be 3 touchdowns? 18?
18.
All right, 18.
Okay, cool.
They ain't getting
Ramsey agreed with my score 38-16. Now we got the militia versus the Kings. So I got to make this distinction: the New Jersey militia versus the Philadelphia Kings. So the militia is at the Kings in Philly. It's not too much of a travel for them, but they do got to go some ways to Philly. The Philadelphia Kings is number 6 overall. They're 5-1. They're averaging, I think, 46 points a game or 45 points a game. But they're giving up more. They're giving up like 14, 15 points a game. But still a really good team. A lot of teams have said that the Kings are not as good as they look, but it's hard to argue with the performances that they've been putting on. So I say that the Kings take care of the New Jersey Militia, who are at the bottom of their league. I think they might have won one game. I say 48-6 to the Kings.
All right. I'm gonna go Philadelphia. I'll say 51-12.
Not bad. And Ramsey agreed with me. Same score, 48-6. So then we got the Knights at the Delaware Fire. The Knights are from Middle Pennsylvania. So I'm guessing that they're in the rural Pennsylvania area. So they got a lot of guys traveling to play.
Oh, they're 0-4.
Shut up, Will. Yeah, they haven't won. The Delaware Fire were in the NEAFL last year. They went up against a lot of comp. I think they lost a lot of their team to the Tide. I'm not sure if that's true or not. They lost a lot of their team though. I think this is a close one. I think the Fire is better slightly. So I'm gonna say 18-12 to the Fire.
Wait, I'm trying to. All right, I'm just gonna do the opposite.
Yeah, the Delaware Fire is 29th. They're 0-3, and they had a tie against the Militia.
So you're going with the Fire winning the first game?
Yeah, the Fire and the New Jersey Militia played each other last week, and they tied at 14. I don't know how the hell they tied. I don't know if they had to end the game, if they went through all the overtimes. I don't know what happened, but
right.
it was 14-14. So
all right, I'm gonna flip.
the Knights,
I'm gonna say the Knights get their first win with
the
same score.
18-12 Knights though.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see what Ramsey said. Ramsey said 18-12 Fire, so he agreed with me. Shut up, Willow. All right. For those who don't understand, the New Milford Fire basically became the Western Connecticut militia. So, for all those at home watching, listening to Willow, shut up, Willow. Anyway, that ends the NEAFL. Let's move over to the TFL. So the TFL, the first matchup we see is the Green Wave. They have to go to the Bengals in Queens. Um, I think the Green Wave put a donut up on them. I think it's 24 zip. 24 zip. Ain't much to say there.
I mean, yeah, I don't. The Green Wave, yeah, all right. I'm agree with you. I'm just gonna agree with you on that one.
But Ramsey said that Kareem won't run up the score. He agrees. 24 zip. Yeah, I think so. Really good quarterback on the Green Wave. Solid running backs. That big running back, the Bengals got nothing for him. The Bengals got nothing for him. He gonna run through that defense like crazy. The Bengals hit hard. They don't cover well. So I think the Green Wave is gonna throw a couple touchdowns. They might run when they get into the red zone. The Bengals don't have much of an offense. 24 zip. All right, so moving on. The Dolphins have to go into Long Island. Brooklyn to Long Island isn't a terrible stretch, but I mean, at 3 p.m., that traffic is going to be a killer. The Eagles, I don't think they run the score up. The offense hasn't quite looked as dangerous as it has in the past. The Dolphins have a competitive team to an extent. I'm gonna say 28 zip, another donut this week. So you're seeing two shutouts. Yeah, 28 zip.
Have the Dolphins won a game?
The Dolphins did win a game.
Because they tie. Who they tie?
The Dolphins beat the Smash. They didn't tie anyone. As a matter of fact,
that 6-9 interception.
Week 1, the Dolphins 6-0'd the Smash. Then week 2, they got a forfeit from the Bengals. Week 3, they got beat 23-8 by the Green Wave. And then last week, they lost 33-12 to the Bengals.
All right. I'm going to say the Eagles open up their offense a little bit more. I'm going to say 30. I'll say 35 to. I'll give them 6. I'll give the Dolphins 6.
You crazy as hell.
I know. I don't know. If y'all see my predictions, you're probably already thinking that yourself anyway. So,
Ramsey is crazier. Ramsey said 21-8 the Eagles over the Dolphins. I'm guessing he's thinking that the Eagles will sit their players and try to keep them healthy. The Dolphins are a surprisingly competitive team. They have really, really good skills players, and they've got a solid defense. It's just not quite all together yet. And I think people are underestimating that. But maybe the Eagles do sit their main guys and they underestimate them and they put up a touchdown. I just think the Eagles are going to, put that work in, take care of business, and pack it up. Plus, the Dolphins got to go to Long Island. The Dolphins have to go into Long Island. They don't score.
Yeah, but you heard it here first, Dolphins. I gave you 6.
I love y'all. Don't take it personal. All right. Anyway, Empire State Wolfpack at the Ducks in Brooklyn. The Wolfpack, they got talent like they always do, but they don't have a team right now. So they got guys doing everything to keep it together. 22-6. I think it's 8-6. It might even be 6-0 Wolfpack going into halftime, but they're not going to be able to hang out with the Ducks. Nah, I doubt that. The Ducks got a lot of talent. They got a lot of talent. Lot of talent.
Wait, is that the Ducks from the Ducks have been around for a while?
The Brooklyn Ducks, yeah, and they got a lot of Pharaohs on that team as well. So they got a lot of talent, a lot of Brooklyn Pharaohs on that team, national championship level program. So I say 22-6. It might even be more than that, but I'm gonna say 22-6 to the Ducks.
All right, I'm gonna go. God, all right. I'll go 35 or whatever 35 would be without 2-point conversions, and I'll say 35-0.
Without 2-point conversion, without 1-point conversions, 30. So 30-0.
Yeah, 30-0.
All right, bet. Ramsey said 36-12 to the Ducks. More touchdowns by the Ducks and another touchdown. I don't think the Wolfpack scored 12 on the Ducks. I'm sorry, Rams, but okay. 36-12.
I said they didn't score, period. So they probably hate me.
All right. So the last but not least, the Den. We got 6 minutes to wrap this up. I think we got enough time. Um, but this is where I want to take a little bit more time because we're in the mid season of the Den, so all of these games really count. Now, remember, we were talking about kind of like the power rankings right now. Like the Jersey Jackals in a unit are honestly top 10 teams. Like they're really good, but because they're 2-2, they don't get to be in with that upper echelon. But if you keep looking, you got the Tri County Owls in the Den at 15. They're 2-2, and they're really good. They were number 4 not too long ago. You got the Delaware Tide, really good team. If you watch the tape of the Delaware Tide and you
Mhm.
didn't know anything, you would think that that team was like 3-1 right now, but they're 1-2. And then you got the Wilmington Wolfpack and the Soldiers sitting around 19-20, at 1-3. So every game really counts right now. So, and then first game is the Tide from Delaware have to travel in to the Herd in New Jersey. The Herd are in the same location as Six Flags, Great America. Is it Great America or is
I
it?
have,
No, it's Great Adventures. Sorry, Six Flag Great Adventures. So they're deep into Jersey, like Central Jersey. Delaware Tide is way out there. That's a trip for them. Not only that, the Herd is the best team right now in the Den. I'm saying 28-12. The Tide is a really good team, but yeah, I just think that the Herd got it all the way. So 28-12 Herd. What do you think?
I'm gonna go 30-6.
30-6. All
Yep.
right. That
Oh, I'm sorry, 36 Herd.
30-6 Herd.
Just
Um,
because that travel they might not have everybody.
yeah. And Ramsey has 21-6 Herd. So we all kind of agree about that one right there. Coach Matt chimed in. He said Herd by 14. Similar opinion. We all kind of think the same thing. At least 2 touchdowns. All right. So next game, you got the Tri County Owls taking on the Wilmington Wolfpack. The Owls have to go into Wilmington. So the Owls, Tri County Owls, they're in New Jersey. However, they are literally 5 minutes, and I kid you not, 5 minutes on the highway, and you're in Philly getting a Philly cheesesteak. So the Wilmington Wolfpack are in Jersey. I have no idea where Wilmington is. It's somewhere out there. But I got the Owls going into the Wolfpack, invading the Den, and beating them 20-8. So I got them by 12. What you got, Mike?
I'm agree with you.
Agreed. And let's see what Rams has.
He agree with you too.
Rams has them 28-0 Owls pitching a shutout on the Wolfpack. That's crazy. Um, So a little quick one. Remember, the Wolfpack started out the season. They won their first game by a lot. I forgot what it was, but I think they had the highest score spread week 1. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, they beat the Philadelphia Soldiers week 1, 22-6, and it was the highest spread of any team. So I was like, man, the Wolfpack looked really good week 1. Yeah, the Soldiers wasn't really that good, and the Wolfpack haven't won since. So I still don't think they're that bad, but whatever. Coach Matt chimed in again. He said Owls by 10. Wolfpack is in Delaware. I think the Wolfpack is in Delaware. Sorry. Wolfpack might be in Delaware. Moving on. Atlantic City Kings at the New Jersey Jackals. The Jackals are supposedly the Jaguars from last year, and the Jaguars started off the season 0-4 and then went on a 4-game stretch where they won. I think, yeah, I think they went on a 4-game stretch where they won and then proceeded to go into the playoffs and upset everybody they went against to win the championship. So the Jackals started off this season pretty terrible, and then they starting to pick it up. So I think they're on that run now where they pick it up and they take it all the way. So I say the Jackals 24-0 to Atlantic City Kings, who haven't won a game yet.
I'm gonna go. I'll go 18-0 Jackals.
18-0. All right. Uh, Coach Matt said he got him by 21, and Ramsey said 24-0. So he agreed with me. All right, bet. Next game. Hitmen got to go to the Soldiers. Central Penn Hitmen are going into Philadelphia. They just traveling across the state. I think that team is pretty comfortable traveling. From what I've seen, they don't really have a problem traveling anywhere. Really well put together team. I'm not sure if the Central Penn Red Raiders and the Hitmen share leadership or players or what, but they giving me very similar vibes. I'm gonna say 38-6, especially Dave Legree heading that ship. He's gonna light them soldiers up. 38-6.
I agree with you. I'm gonna agree with you on this one only because I don't know the
Well,
teams.
the Philly Soldiers, where are they? They're 20th, right?
Yep.
And then the Soldiers' only win came against who again? Let me see if I can find it. Their only win came from a forfeit by Atlantic City Kings. They played the Garden State Herd last week. 42-8 was the score. Central Penn Hitman has Dave Legree. Dave played in the NFL for a good amount of time. He's probably gonna be in the Hall of Fame for semi-pro. He's that nasty. Um, he was a
All
rebel. I played with him for a little while. He's nasty.
right.
But
So
his receivers average like 5 to 6 drops a game because he just throws that motherfucker with too much heat. Like they just can't get onto it yet. So
all right.
I
All right.
think I think they might the receiving core might come together in this game. Dave might not have to throw it so hard to fit it in there. So the offense might smoothen out a little bit and really get rolling. So that's why I said 36.
All right. I'm gonna go 38-0.
38 nothing. All right, bet. Ramsey said Hitman 28-12. So he has a little more faith in the soldiers to try to fight back, but I don't think so. I think the Hitman roll. All right, the last game and probably the most important game, the unit was undeniably like the best team in the Northeast last year. They were at the top for a long time. Um, and then they kind of just slowly fell off as the season progressed. So there was a lot of hype to this season. They started out terribly. They started to pick it back up. Um, they got the Seminoles. So the Noles suffered from not playing a game against the Delaware Tide. It was something that happened with the referees on both sides. It was no team's fault, so there was no forfeit given. So they just missed the game, right? So the Noles take on the unit. The unit are charged up. I think they're coming off a win, right? Let me just double check that. Um, yes, the unit beat the Wolfpack 14-6. They got some quarterback debate going on right now. I think they got 4 quarterbacks. They haven't quite figured out which one is the main guy. Um, I think the unit puts their best 11 on the field. I think they really take it serious in practice this week. I think they understand that they got to come out and play their best football, but the Seminoles just got it together. So I'm saying 28-14. Both teams can kick field goals, by the way, from like 50 out. So
All right. I can make an actual like.
yeah.
All right. Cool. I'll go. I'll make it a tighter game. Then I'll go Seminoles. I'll go. Let's see. I'll go 17-14 Seminoles.
Wow, that close. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're saying that the unit's gonna, come in there and best. I
They
mean,
might they might throw all they got at this game. They might try to make a statement here.
and you know how it is. I mean, the Seminoles is a name that I know even in my departure of semi-pro, the Seminoles have always been that team
Yeah.
that you knew about. So I mean, even if the Seminoles sucked like now, you still want to. I would want to play them up myself.
So I'm gonna share this one more time because we talked earlier about this list, the USFA national champion list, right? And we had all the Marlboro Shamrocks. Well, when you get to the other side of the 2000s, you
Mhm.
start to see this one name keep popping up: Brooklyn Seminoles.
Yep.
The Seminoles, Brooklyn Seminoles. Yeah, they're
What
pretty.
what year did they start?
They started getting in. So I have this funny suspicion that the Brooklyn Mariners. I have this funny suspicion that the Brooklyn Mariners and the Seminoles share in history. So the Mariners started winning in '03, and then they won in '05 and '06, and then around the 2010s, that's when you start to see the Brooklyn Seminoles come in. At 2013, they beat North Carolina Hornets,
Because
and
I'm
then 2015, and then 2020.
because I'm I mean I'm old, so I mean, I've taken a lot of headshots too, but I'm pretty sure the Connecticut Giants played the Brooklyn Seminoles.
I'm pretty sure they did. They probably did. It probably wasn't in a USFA game though. It might have been different.
I honestly forgot. I'll have to check my jersey when I get home and find out what exact league we were in because I honestly forgot.
All right, so the last prediction is for Ramsey. Ramsey says the Noles get him 28-21. So he agrees with you that it'll be closer. I think the reason why I put a two touchdown deficit is because the Noles defense is stout. I don't even think they let the unit get into field goal range. And if the unit gets into field goal range, I think they have enough talent to punch it in. But I think they're gonna probably pick the wrong quarterback to start, and they won't get rolling until it's too late. And the Noles will get out to an early lead, and then they'll just kind of hang on to it. So I think that's why I'm going with the two touchdown lead. But then again, like Coach Matt says, if the unit picks the right quarterback and they gel and they mesh from the first play, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle, and that'll be a really good game to watch. So, I said because of the underlying tension between the Falcons and Patriots and the whole championship preview, that might be the game to watch. The next game to watch is the unit and the Knowles, because if the unit don't win this game, it gets very difficult for them going forward, and they might have a really bad year. But if the Knowles lose this game, it'll be the first game that the Knowles lost in a long time, and it'll really, flip the rankings upside down on its head. So, all right, appreciate everybody for coming out. Mike, I appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you
Who do
having
I
me.
like? Real quick, Coach Matt asked, who do I like? Honestly, I like Juan. That's my guy. When they had Juan at the helm last year, they played absolutely amazing. Juan got a shoulder injury. They had to put the backup in. They fell off a little bit, but they still competed at a high level. They had a really good running back and they had a really good offensive line, and the defense was stout all around. But this year, they've got a taller black guy who can run a little bit. I think between Juan and that guy, they have to pick a guy, and that guy has to mesh, and they got to get the system right, and somebody has to step back. Um, so honestly, it's not one guy or the other. I like Juan personally. That's my guy. I've seen what he can do. Plus, that was their guy last year. Go back to what worked for you. But that other dude can ball. I don't know his name. He's a taller black guy. I'll find his name. I'll probably post it on the page. Um, but yeah, it's between those two. But yeah, so thank you guys for the show. Thank you for coming out. Friday, we're gonna do the show at the regular time, 7 p.m. Hopefully, we can get Mike on at that time. Ramsey already confirmed that he should be available at that time. If we can get all three going, that'd be perfect. The conversations would be even better. This is the format going forward. We're gonna do an hour of the show, and in the last maybe 30 minutes, we'll kind of go through the rankings and we'll talk about the upcoming teams and the upcoming games and stuff like that. This Friday, we won't go through the rankings, so we'll get a full hour of just conversation and good vibes. One of these days, I'm gonna get Mike to come down, and we'll have Mike in house, and we'll get to crack a beer or whatever, and do this in person. So that'll be pretty cool. And another thing is that the Bleezies invited me down to their show, so hopefully I get to go down to the Bleezy house and get to have some fun with those guys and chop it up. A lot of good stuff in semi-pro. I know there's a lot of negatives that we talk about and we shine a spotlight on. It's because we love the sport and we want it to survive and we care about it. And we put a shit ton of time in, man. I talked to Mike all off season. Every time I talked to him, either he was in the gym or I was in the gym. And then we have all these phone calls and all these conversations and everything else that goes into it and all these movements. So, we love the sport. We care about it. Thank you guys for supporting it. Everybody share this. Get it to as many people as possible. All your fans and all your friends and family that you want to come to the game. This is kind of the thing that will help them connect to us and help them understand all that goes into it. And, hopefully people will start to come out and support us a lot more. And this thing will really take off. We'll have our own little USFL or XFL system that we've developed over time. So just want to say appreciate you guys and appreciate you, Mike. And that's the end of the show. So we'll catch you on Friday at 7 p.m. and then we'll catch you every week on Friday going forward. Thank you guys so much and see you at the 50.
All right.